Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to South Florida Business and Wealth's Virtual Connect, New Digital Reality, What Matters Today in a Virtual Consumer World. My name is Clayton Idle, and I'm the Managing Director of South Florida Business and Wealth. I'd like to start by thanking everybody for joining our Virtual Connect today. And Zack, thank you so much for joining and being our featured CEO today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I do see a lot of familiar names on the webinar, but if this is your first time tuning in to an SFBW virtual event, or you're just not familiar with who we are and what we do, we help connect you to the top area executives in South Florida. We do that several different ways. Most people know us by our publication that reaches several thousand CEOs and other senior level C-suite executives and business owners in the Tri-County South Florida area. We do have a whole suite of digital assets to complement our print products, such as our Monday, Wednesday, Friday daily e-newsletter. And of course, we do events that have gone all virtual during the pandemic, and we are excited to get back to in-person events when it's safe to do so. So if you'd like to learn how to get on our platform, all of our exciting new marketing and advertising opportunities, get our publication, or be tuned in to our Monday, Wednesday, Friday e-newsletter, or just general communication updates, we will be following up with an email after today's program for you to get more engaged. Also, too, some housekeeping. We do want to make today's interview interactive, so we highly encourage you, if you have questions during the interview, please use the Q&A feature down at the bottom of your screen, and we'll get to the questions either at the end or we'll sprinkle them in throughout the interview. Now, I'd like to read Zack Hoffman's bio. Please, everybody welcome Zack Hoffman, founder and CEO of Exults. Zack is a seasoned, dynamic, and successful entrepreneur. He is also the founder and CEO of Exults, a leading digitally focused marketing agency headquartered right here in South Florida. An expert in the digital space, Zack focuses on providing clients with website development, large-scale business growth, consulting, and branding. Zack is always ahead of the market demand by consistently perfecting, expanding, and offering new innovative products and state-of-the-art services. Under Zack's helm, his companies have received countless awards and accolades from industry associations and have continuously received stellar customer testimonials from clients nationwide for their successful digital marketing campaigns. In addition to his professional endeavors, Zack believes that it's extremely important to give back to the local community, as well as nonprofits, programs, and initiatives that serve children's needs. Zack graduated from the University of Central Florida with a Bachelor's of Science degree in Finance and a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics. Thank you for joining, Zack.
Thank you.
Gary, I'm going to kick it over to you, my friend. Here is the virtual microphone. Take it away.
Got it. Hey, everybody. Thanks, Clayton. This is a special one of these. We've been doing a lot of these, sometimes two a week, 3 a week. But this one is this is special because Zack's a personal friend. And one of the things that our audience probably doesn't know is Zack is also very philanthropic. He's a really great guy. And I think we're going to have a lot of fun today. And we're going to learn a lot. So welcome, Zack.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to start it off with a question. Zack, have you and your team at Exults adopted your clients to some sort of new normal and assisted them in a way to navigate through this new world that we're going through?
Definitely, and that's a great question, Gary. Essentially, mid-March into April, our team was literally busting our humps, coaching and consulting with our clients as to how they plan to service their clients, make their clients feel comfortable to come into their businesses or allow them into their homes. We service a number of clients in almost all areas, from legal professionals to in-home service companies where they might be changing out somebody's air conditioning or going into measure for blinds. The list goes on as to the number of clients that we service and their different approach and what they need to do in this new normal to make people comfortable. But, like I said, for 45 days from mid-March all the way through April, we were just busting our humps, making sure that our clients could communicate to their end clients that they were prepared for COVID anything related from like CDC standards, that their business was practicing it, that they would wear masks if they were going into the household, and also just make sure that they were conscientious of any consumers' concerns, whether it be a banner that we populated at the top of their website, so when people came to the website, they always knew it was there, or even going to social media, because social media is such an effective conduit to communicate what's going on in today's world, and even pinning a post to say to their customers, look, we know the pandemic is going on. We know COVID is going on. Even if all of your customers might not be, quote unquote, believing in it or affected by it, it's very important to just communicate to the subconscious that we're aware of what's going on in society, and that we are making our best efforts as an organization to appease your need, and that we're sensitive to that. So like I said, effective communication with all of our clients. We have clients all over the country. So we've had clients in California impacted, clients in New York that were literally shut down as a result. And then as they've reopened, communicating what we're doing as an organization on behalf of our client to make sure that people feel safe. Example, going to the dentist, going to a chiropractor. You want to know that they'll be wearing a mask, that you wouldn't have to ask twice for these things to happen. So we encourage our clients, encourage all businesses right now to be sensitive to the public until this all kind of, abates, which could be, a significant amount of time. So even if you're, haven't done it yet, it's not too late. This is, we don't know how long the timeline is on this, and we just need to make sure that you're communicating so that, even if you run a travel and hospitality business, you want people to know that they don't have to think twice as to what you're doing when they get to your website or your digital presence, that they actually would have to pick up the phone to say, do these guys even know that COVID's going on or there's a pandemic? Like, just make sure it's top of mind and make sure you're communicating it just right away. Makes
a lot of sense. The mask thing is something that I don't know how it got politicized, but I've been going out and having some meetings, starting to have some meetings, and I was down on Las Olas and over by the beach, and I was shocked that nobody is wearing masks. And the numbers in Broward, thank God, are starting to go down. I think yesterday, 2 weeks ago, we were getting 2,500 new cases a day. Yesterday, I think we had 356. So it's going in the right direction. But everybody's on this discussion today, I urge you guys to please wear masks and to please tell people in your company. The quicker we do this, the better we get into post-COVID, which is going to be a lot more fun than actual COVID. So outside of my little speech there, I'll go back to some specifics. What have you done to evolve and manage your clients through this new era?
So it's a great question. We've had clients that have switched to virtual consultations where they can do that. Technology, in particular, the Apple FaceTime, makes it so you can communicate at a more effective pace. We've seen a rapid and strong adoption of Zoom just across the board, all age demographics. Everybody can use Zoom. They even have a free aspect of it for people to use for meetings. But it's just been the runaway leader in meetings and virtual meetings, and even our own mothers use it, and everybody, any age is able to use it. So I strongly encourage organizations, whether or not they use Zoom or another meeting software, to potentially adopt that. We've found that lawyers can use that for consultations. Home service companies could use it for in-home or free consultations. There's also, if you hadn't considered selling an item direct online or making your product available via e-commerce, there's simple ways to roll that out and make it a little bit more of a flexible environment there. But once again, it's really that communication is key, and using and leveraging all technology possible to make sure that your business is flexible and can accommodate for somebody essentially not to want to meet with you in person. And how are you going to do that? And like I said, FaceTime and Zoom are the most immediate ways from a simplicity perspective that could be rolled out literally today.
What do you recommend businesses should do to stay relevant and profitable during these times? A lot of businesses obviously are trying really hard not to lay people off and not to furlough people, and revenue is smaller. What do you recommend to folks?
Well, there's a lot of economic studies that have been published through the years that look, huge companies are built during downturns. Those companies that stay present, that keep their brand top of mind and emphasize that they're still functioning, that they're a strong leader. I mean, as a business owner for 15 years, I'm not going to say I was waiting for something to crack, but when a lot of mentors had told me 08, 09 was the worst they'd ever seen, or hey, like something like this could never happen again. Like, hey, it's here. It's that 10, 12-year cycle that we're seeing it. And, I would say team morale is huge. Like, do what you can from an HR perspective as a business owner to make sure that your team is comfortable, that they feel secure at the job, that they're communicating effectively with your team, that you and your customers, that your organization is strong through this period of time. It is an effective land grab. There are a lot of companies, there are a lot of people still spending money. There's a lot of businesses still spending money. So it's really key to, one, pivot. So if you were dedicated to essentially stores and physical locations, pivot online. If you don't have an effective website, I know our organization can get one turned around in 3 to 4 months very effectively, something you'll love and always want. But the Wall Street Journal published a great article about how companies have pivoted through the pandemic. One guy they referenced in particular had 9 physical locations in Pennsylvania. And when he received his PPP money, the most immediate thing that he did was he built up the morale around his team. He had them use their phones to take photos of all the furniture and things that they sell on a normal basis, and get it out on Facebook, on their website, they actually generated their first online sale. And it all happened as a result of the pandemic. But the reality is this is more than a new reality. Like, everybody says, oh, Amazon this, Amazon that. Amazon is just like perfectly positioned. They've been building up to this for years. I don't think it was in anybody's, case studies of like future predictions. But, from an infrastructure standpoint and just being ready to service customers in a flexible manner that are adopting digital at a rapid rate, that's really it. Jeff Bezos said the reason he got into e-commerce when he did is he said you literally couldn't miss. It was growing at thousands of % a year, and he just couldn't miss regardless of what he did. And I'd even say to business owners today, e-commerce is still growing in a double-digit figure clip, and right now it's even a high three-digit figure clip. So you really can't miss, really, in today's world if you're working with the right partners. I mean, being an agency owner for 15 years, the number of people we've seen come and go, and just the number of, kind of things that we hear agencies pitch because it's best for their bottom line. It's malpractice in my industry, but it happens, right? It happens in all businesses. So we always preach to clients, look, the website's your cornerstone. That's the cornerstone of your business. So if your website's weak today, it's not going to get stronger on its own tomorrow. That's just something you have to do from a house cleaning and maintenance perspective to get it up to speed. And then really social media is the biggest conduit to let customers and opportunities know you're alive and ready to service them. So there's just so many ways to go about it. Like I said, it's not late. You can continue to evolve and change. And we've had a lot of clients just kind of evolve their product offering or service offering to keep them, going through this.
The next question is somewhat unfair, but because it's so broad, but I know you can handle it. So what does it take for a company to, from a monetary perspective, to move the needle? And you could talk about different industries if you'd like, and how long does it take to move that needle?
So you mean just from like an investment perspective?
Yeah, how much from an investment what kind of investment would a business need to really make a digital impact and see results?
Yeah, so it's interesting that you said investment. That's always something that I hear in meetings. Somebody says, "Oh, this is going to cost me X," and it's like, look, if you're looking at this as a cost or like how much is it going to cost me, you're just looking at digital as in the wrong light, right? It's almost as important of an investment in just the lifeblood of your business and moving things forward. So yes, from an investment perspective, to get an organization up to speed from a website perspective, a social perspective, a search perspective, and just a website, an effective website, there's so many layers to it. you know, I encourage an organization, if they don't have an effective website, to at least get their feet wet, build like a website notes, their first website, and don't look at it as like, you know, a cost or expense. If you redo your website in 3 months, it is what it is. I mean, we've had people that have a new website and they say to me, I can't even look at my new website. I waited 6 months for it. And it's just like, well, you know, at least we have like a template or like like an outline of what you're looking for to get your organization to the next level. So, you know, I just don't want to like, you know, cheat anybody by saying exact numbers, but I would say that like any step that you take in the right direction is, you know, a first step forward and always the right thing to be doing. And if you're looking as a perspective of as an investment and a learning opportunity to scale into this new digital realm, get started. Just, you know, start spending that first dollar, boost your own ad on social media, give it a try, go sign up for a Google Ads account, go build a, you know, website on a platform. But understand, you know, once you're ready for it and you have an understanding of it yourself, that you're making an investment in your business. You're not cost looking at it. You're looking at like, this is the new way. I always like to say, like, this could be your strongest salesperson beyond yourself would be your website, because regardless of when you hang up the phone or you get that first opportunity with a lead or a client, they will go to your website and then they'll go to social media and they'll go to all these different places. So we like to do remarketing. We find that remarketing is a key component to a lot of budgets. You usually need a technical expert to help you out with this because you have to pixel your website from Facebook and Google Ads. But we find that's a very effective buy because people you're talking to today, you know, they'll be followed around the internet. And as long as that product's still available and it's not, you know, basically regulated yet, you know, I would say to be, you know, on top of that. But the key thing is, like you said, this is an investment. You know, whatever your comfort is to take that, you know, risk adverse first step, go ahead and do that, but build from there. You know, I had a conversation, you know, / pitch the other day where somebody says, you know, I want to compete with Amazon. Well, I was like, I assure you Amazon didn't start by, you know, with a $3,000 website here or 5,000. He's not delegating out to all these resources overseas to perfect the model. You know, there's reasons, there's technical hubs and technical experts, and you know, there is inflation in this realm because there's high demand right now for moving operations digital. But yeah, as one of the tech CEOs, I believe it was Microsoft CEO, said they saw they saw digital adoption in 3 months that they thought would take 3 years from, you know, the end of March forward. So you really have to, you know, account for that and understand that the next I would say like just like Judgment Day is going to be what happens Q4 when the malls, quote unquote, depend on the holiday season. Like, are people going to show back up at the mall? If they don't, you know, we could see this economy go from what it is to, you know, that could be a detrimental scenario because your commercial real estate just, you know, it'll just deflate everything. But like I said, it's an investment. You know, start with that first dollar and then pivot forward from there.
Okay. One of the things I know that you do well, and one of the things I've learned over the last 20 years with websites is, but I'd like you to chat a little bit about this, is that the consultative part of this thing is taking your time and really, as a business, talking to somebody like you, Zach, is like getting all the information out there, everything, and instead of just here's what I want to do, here's my website, let's build it. You know, it takes some real time, and as a business, you have to really question yourself as to what do you want to say to the public. But more than that, it's what's going to, and I used this expression earlier, but what's going to move the needle. And you know, to me, you know, and you and I have talked about this before. It's that 1-2 month time period that you really have to develop a plan before you start building anything.
The beauty of digital is nothing's ever set in concrete. You know, you could literally call a responsive agency. You could call our agency today and have something changed on your website within an hour or two. They say the largest organizations in the world, not to harp on Amazon, but change variations every few seconds. And of course, that's technologically very different. But it's like I say, you got to take that first step. I would encourage people to talk to a number of partners, look for response rates, look to see that there's an active pulse on the other end of the line. I assure you, digital marketing is a real career and a real profession out there that, there's a lot of people like ourselves that have done this for 15 plus years. It's not necessarily something you want to just refer out to your cousin, or, it's because somebody knows how to quote unquote build a website. We spend, substantial figures on behalf of over 100 plus clients. So we have working with an organization like ours, we have like a case study or like a mindset of experience that we know that if we say this is how it's going to work, or this is what's going to work for you. I would just kind of say, go into the conversation with an open mind. Understand that, an effective website, I'll say it again, it's the pure cornerstone of the digital presence. And then everything else is like the universe around it that really, starts to make everything, trick out, just to be effective for your business. But talk to a number of partners and really harp on communication and make sure that you can get communication from who you plan to endeavor on this journey with.
Yeah, good points. I know several of your clients, and they're really, really pleased with what you do. Can you give us, you don't have to name the client if you don't want to, but can you give us an idea of if you don't want to name the client, what industry they were in and some of the tactics you used to be able to help them that changed who they were?
Yeah, so I would say I really look at the business from a hierarchical approach, not to talk to specific clients, but if your website sucks, I'll be the first one to tell you that, because my accountability, my ability to bring you results is hooked onto your website, right? And this goes back to I was saying, some digital partners will pitch aggressively for SEO and search engine optimization. And I'll tell you, as an agency owner that holds himself accountable for business results and people's investments, your first avenue beyond the website should be going to Google ads, and then some of these ad networks, as well as Facebook ads. Everything that's organic or you hear is quote unquote free, there's nothing free in this market. Go look at Google's stock chart, Facebook's stock chart. That's all based on companies paying them for impressions and results. So once again, we start with having an effective website and web presence for our clients. There's a lot of things to consider right now. Mobile is and will be everything for the foreseeable future. So, mobile first in a lot of ways. I've been listening to Masters of Scales, my new podcast, and they interviewed Mark Zuckerberg, and he talked about how they took it on the chin for almost, him and Sheryl Sandberg took it on the chin for almost a year and a half, because they basically pivoted all their advertisers, made less money for a period of time, but they knew everything was migrating to mobile. Right. So mobile is key. If your website is not good on the iPhone and you're sitting at your desktop in the office and you think your website looks good, it isn't good to your end consumer, because your probability is 6 out of 10 of them are on the phone. But once again, go to the paid platforms, Google ads, Facebook ads. That's where you're going to see rubber meet the road. If somebody's just selling you search engine optimization, SEO, or feed management, Facebook has admittingly made numerous algorithm changes to where you're essentially talking to yourself. You're not spending ad dollars to boost or promote, postings. And right. Same thing with Google. I encourage you to look at their stock chart. That is not a nonprofit stock chart. They're not giving away free clicks to the best search engine optimization expert out there. Search engine optimization is a great investment to layer on once you're meeting all these other, I would say paradigms of when you're maxing out a lot of other opportunities.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. So the future, the next 5-10 years, where do you see advertising, digital marketing going?
Well, it's an interesting realm. It has been, I would say, an effective workhorse in a lot of ways, especially, like I said, the remarketing products of today are very effective on digital. So if you're trying to build a big brand, we do see a lot of mediums that still have a lot of influence. And me as an advertiser marketer trying to grow my business, I do engage in traditional media as well, but digital media is our hook. And digital media will continue to be a stronger and stronger hook. And I would just strongly encourage, to get started. In 5 to 10 years, you could see, I don't know if you were calling Back to the Future 2, where Biff was talking to them on the TV, or they see like commercials and interactive scenarios. In Google Analytics, you could see how many people are accessing your website via television. And it's very small right now, but it'll continue to climb. And then you have a generation right now. I have a 3-year-old at home, and he knows Netflix, YouTube, Amazon. And those are what he knows. Those are what he does. And we all probably know that if we invested in what we were doing in middle school, or like when I was in middle school, Abercrombie and Fitch was hot. Well, the stock flew. When I was a little kid, AOL was hot. If you bought AOL stock, you made 20 times the return. Well, I can tell you, my little kid right now, if I had to see the world from a 3-year-old, he's on Netflix, YouTube, and Amazon. So you got like a decade out of I'd say like bulletproof there. And then I think the TV is going to creep in there as the mobile devices begin to sync more effectively with the televisions. So it's going to go a little bit beyond mobile. I think the app market's very congested unless you have a specific purpose for an app. So, I'd be, a little wary on that. But definitely strong websites will have, they've stood the test of time for right now, making them more interactive, having, live chat that's hosted. And just 5 to 10 years out, I just say the generation of today that, might not even be going to school right now. If they are going to school, they're going to school virtually. So they're going to be even more interconnected into this digital world than we can ever imagine. And I've literally seen clients that go from barely making $1 to 7, 8, 9-figure businesses in under 2 to 3 years, just because of how fast something could scale effectively on like Facebook, Instagram, and Google if you have the right recipe and you have the right net. But 5 to 10 years out, I'd say, pay attention to the mobile devices and how they start to integrate more effectively with the televisions. And I also think another thing to consider is how divided we are from our media consumption perspective. All the Samsung TVs are essentially built with like apps built into them. So sometimes I never even make it back to cable television. My kid will be watching a show on Netflix, Amazon Prime. My wife watches Netflix habitually. So, the influence of traditional media, the gate is kind of dwindling, but it's still open. But that remarketing hook on digital, I don't think is going away anytime soon. And I think that's going to continue to be a strong and great product to keep your branding top of mind, and just, watch what the children are doing, and watch, with the behavior right now that's happening during COVID and this pandemic. Because I could tell you that personal experience, Amazon Prime and Amazon Whole Foods relationship versus Instacart and Publix. Instacart and Publix have surely gotten their act together, but they weren't ready for it, even though they advertised it for 5 years like they were. Every time you walked into Publix, the experience is as if they had never walked into my local location. And they literally lost thousands of dollars of me going to Whole Foods. And that was just because they didn't seize the opportunity correctly, or even like beta test it. Like I said, nobody could have predicted this was going to happen, but I do not see consumer behavior, immediately going back to where it was. And a lot of target clienteles, I'm 38 myself, and I'm not saying I'm a target client for everybody, but some of my peers have been doing Amazon direct ship, or been doing a lot of like recurring subscribing behavior for almost 3 or 4 years now. And these are people that companies want to reach. They're not clients that you'd be like, I don't want that guy as a client. You want them. And their behavior is tied to digital. So, these people were doing it a few years ago, and they'll be doing it 5 to 10 years forward.
Yeah, that's a good thought also about the subscription models now, where, I switched over, I guess 4 years ago, I used to use Gillette razors. Now I get Parries, and it's, the blades I think are better. It's a fraction of the cost, and I get my blades every 2 months, and it's wonderful.
Based on how clean you look today, I'm ready to go sign up. I think you just sold me.
Well, as Self-Florida Business and Wealth has a fairly new editor. His name is Drew Limsky, and there's been a bunch of questions here, so I'm going to jump to one of his questions and come back and ask a question. And there's a few other questions that people they're very interested in you, Zach. So what Drew's question is, what do you say to a potential client, a business owner, maybe non-college educated, who's not tech savvy and feels intimidated by digital marketing?
Speak with an expert, vet a number of partners, and go out there, give us a call potentially. But no, definitely, do your own reading, listen to some podcasts even about, like I was saying, Masters of Scale, or even another one that somebody referred me to is Business Wars. And Business Wars is, perfect case studies of businesses like Blockbuster versus Netflix. And that one hits right home because the Blockbuster guy built our town.
Right.
But, it's just like, you look at just talk to a number of people and look at it as an investment. If you mess up in one scenario, don't give up on digital. Just continue seeking the right partner and relationship. We've had business partners and relationships for as long as we've been in business, and that's going on 15 years. So if the partner's not working for you, just always make sure that you own your assets. Always make sure you own your domain name, that you have access to your social media profiles, and that when you're doing advertising with somebody, that you own those profiles. That's something I always, encourage people. And tell us how that we, encourage that.
So what kinds of businesses do you think are suited to take advantage of the new normal and go digital?
Any business. We had a strong relationship with a home service air conditioning guy for a long time, where we built a direct platform to where you could literally purchase an air conditioner, and all they had to do is essentially come out and measure and say, okay, this is good for an install, and we'll do it at the price that was quoted. Of course, there's an asterisk to say, like, if we come out and measure, it doesn't suit you, then we have to adjust. But my point is that where there's a will, there's a way. Something my parents taught me early. But there's always a way to make it work in today's world. There's just, you have to be flexible, and you have to understand, regardless of the industry that you're in, Silicon Valley has a target on you, and they're looking. You have to differentiate yourself from a personal perspective, from a branding perspective. Those are all assets that people can't take away from your business, and they can't be commoditized. So as much as we've talked about Amazon, if you sell a comparable product and you actually have a live voice on the other end and a consultative perspective to the sale, you can beat them at that sale. I assure you of that. And it's any mixed model or business can be pivoted to this digital new era that, I don't consider new, but like I said, it's at hyper adoption rates right now.
Gotcha. What do you think about a company like Groupon? I mean, they came out, I don't know, a decade ago, very strong. I really haven't studied this at all, but seems that they've really faded. Do you have any thoughts on what they did or did wrong, or?
There's a lot of organizations that exist or come into play for all the wrong reasons. Sometimes it could be a lot of investors backing them and just pressing sales, like Groupon in particular, and Living Social and some of these other ones. You're training tough consumers to begin with. You're giving away something free. You hear a lot of nightmare stories, put companies out of business. And, it sounds like a great value proposition. Even selling on Amazon sounds like a great value proposition. But if you talk to business owners that do it, the margins are completely squeezed. And like I said, I truly believe that the Living Social model didn't necessarily succeed very well because they were training consumers that were only sensitive to a discount or free.
Right.
As a business owner, it's tough to compete with free, and it's tough to build a relationship on somebody that's their main value proposition.
Yeah, I think you got it right there. Well, when you give too much away, you're just training habits of consumers. Absolutely right. This is a question from a attendee. What are some of the biggest challenges you experience in getting new clients to integrate new digital technologies into their business? And I guess that's a very good question. And it's, it must be challenging because you know what you're doing, but you're dealing with clients who really, you guys we speak different languages.
Yeah, and there's people with all different levels of experience in our field. There's people operating businesses without liability insurance. I mean, I could go on and on as to like the type of people we might compete against that just aren't even equitable to even be, I think, considered on the same level. And I'd go back to when you're asking about what a business should do today to really build out their business. We hear it all the time. Like Joe told me, or Jane, whoever over there told me I should only do SEO. Why are you telling me to do Google ads and this and that? It's because I want to hear from you in 3 months. Like you want to look for relationships and clients that can provide testimonials and referrals. And I guess the question was like, how could a business, essentially, I think it was like, how do they pivot, right? Or if the business model isn't, you got to start testing and trying. Like that's the biggest model, in the digital world is test, and just move quick. Just be versatile and ready to go. Like I said, you don't need to hear from me first. Go to those podcasts I said, Masters of Scale and, Business Wars, and start to listen to what these business owners did to compete. I mean, Time Warner literally laughed at Netflix and told them they're like the army of Albania taking over the world. Now Time Warner wishes they were Netflix. And it's just test, repeat, test, repeat, and just like keep going. So Just get started. If you don't think your model is adapted to it, I do all types of trade shows, talk to all types of experts. I've seen architects that build businesses where they're selling floor plans at, a few $100s a piece versus doing custom, homes. And then, yes, we can do a custom home too, but if you want this, here's a blueprint for a few $100. And people just start to build and test, and before they know it, they have something that scales, or they wake up in the morning and they have sales. We worked for a ticket attorney where we were engaging the consumer to just process their tickets online. They never had to speak to an attorney. There's so many ways to go about it. And it's, like I said, just test and get your feet wet.
Yeah, makes sense. This is an interesting question. I never asked you this. I think I know the answer, but how did you come up with the name Exults?
So I was sitting in a meeting one day and the client literally says to me, I need excellent results, expedited results tomorrow. And then I was just like, a light bulb went off and it went, and I was like, Exults, I wonder if that's a word. And it means to rejoice as a result of success. I also had the fortune of working with Mike Gusky, who sold his company to Berkshire Hathaway early on in my career. And my organization used to be called SEO.cc. And he said to me, if your company's called SEO.cc, you're always going to be commoditized into SEO, and people are always going to compare you to these other guys. And I would see it on the paperwork, even though we were always doing websites, search, social for clients. People would be like, but you're SEO. And it's like, I couldn't, you couldn't fight the storm on that. And as a digital marketer who tried to, pitch a non.com, I would say .coms are worth their weight in gold. So there is a secondary market for .coms if your .com's not available on GoDaddy. And once again, going back to that investment mentality, having a great domain name is really critical. And it's been mentors along the way that have kind of guided me personally to come up with the name Exults. And it was even like an internal sales proposition I did to my team at the time, but we've grown exponentially since we rebranded because it allows us to talk to a greater picture, and it communicates what we do, which is driving results for our clients. So we're driving excellent results, and it speaks itself in the name, and subliminally it communicates results.
Yeah, great name. So this is from Jeffrey Lewin. Question for Zack. Impressed that you are #1 within search results on Google for just the word Exalt. Can you give a high-level overview on how you accomplish this?
It's just there's a number of ways that could be impacted, but it's just it could be your browser. There's just once you get somebody to your website, the search browsers change what shows up in the results. But yeah, it's, we continue to work at that for a number of years, but we also have a number of other high value keywords. But we're always focused on building brand equity, and we've built the business on long-term relationships and delivering, an effective product for our clients.
So, a couple of people have asked this also. And I think I know where you're going to go with this, but is it too late for a company to jump in and still see really good results on from a digital perspective?
It is not. It is never too late, especially if you have competitors or newcomers that are quote unquote eating your lunch. Take their website addresses, put them into a website called SpyFu. That's the word spy, SPYFU.com, and type in their URL. See how much money they're spending on Google Ads. We have businesses that we work with that might be new to digital, and they say, hey, quote unquote, eating my lunch. And it's like, well, they're spending $500,000 a month on Google Ads, or $1 million. You're not spending a dime. And by the way, your website is not up to par, so I wouldn't recommend you spend $1 till we take care of that first. But it's never too late. It's like we all don't want to be working for Jeff Bezos at the end of the day in a warehouse. So, just get started and start to invest in that digital paradigm. And I can't, beat on enough, like websites, remarketing, and just, staying in front of your consumers and customers.
Yeah, a very, a good friend of mine who owns, it's City Furniture. He made a comment to me last year that his business started to really climb when he realized City Furniture was not a furniture store. It was a digital company that sells furniture. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where people have to go, thinking about, we're all digital companies, just how we execute that. Amy Cook has a question, and I can relate to her question. I think that retargeting is very successful. When I look at Nike sneakers, the shoe that I like will follow me around every website I go until I buy it. What's involved in setting that up for a direct-to-consumer business?
Well, like I said, that takes some expertise on setting up the pixels and making sure that your shopping feed can integrate. Nike's, of course, deep into this. But even back to your City Furniture reference, Gary, digital should be part of the DNA of all organizations. I haven't been to business school now in 15 years, but I assure you that if it's not at some of the best programs, like digital has to be part of the lifeblood, or there has to be an approach to look at it with. There's a book called 0 to 1 by, it's literally kind of by Peter Thiel, who's the godfather of Silicon Valley. And it speaks to why PayPal could pave the road with golden bricks, whereas the Chinese restaurant under his office couldn't operate without their cousins volunteering on the weekends. And it was really just investing in infrastructure, investing in that digital perspective. And there has to be a digital component to every and any business right now. And the stronger your digital perspective was going into this, situation, the easier and simpler it was for you to pivot. But it's not too late, because not saying this is a new normal, but there's going to be businesses that literally will shut down a fraction of stores and start to put those resources into the digital perspective.
And then you see stuff like, Amazon and Simon Malls talking. And I think they did one deal already, but, these malls may become, just Amazon superstores.
Yeah, it's a challenging time, like everything that's going on, the delivery services, it's just creating a little bit more barriers. I strongly believe AI and robotics is going to be the biggest thing to compete with us as people. If you study that stuff a little bit, it might just scare you straight. But it's never too late to get started with digital. And even starting to dabble in some like AI type components for your own business to make sure that you are meeting that gap, because that'll be the conversation we're having in 5 to 10 years, is how to compete with flexible AI and robotics. So,
well, I'm going to ask you a personal question. I hope that's okay. your life changed a lot about 4 or 5 years ago. You know, you were the single guy, you were running this cool company. Now you're married, have 2 kids. How do you balance all of that?
Discipline. Yeah, I have a quote I read every morning that discipline wins championships. It's really just discipline in getting to the office, working effectively, and just executing along a strategy and different tactics to get you to where you want to go. And that's just something that I would say, reading a goal sheet every morning and working toward them and refreshing that every month, even if you don't hit all of them, or even if you don't get to it every month, like just start to try to get into that habit. And, I'm a NFL fan myself. I've always been a Dolphin fan growing up. And where I came up with that quote that, persistence wins championships is in persistence and execution is in watching the New England Patriots play. I hate Patriot football, but they throw a pass, they throw it 5 to 10 yards, and they make the defense work and make a tackle. Like Tom Brady will never throw a deep pass. You can look it up statistically, and they always win. So discipline wins championships. Just effectively work a plan and just be ready for that plan to pivot or change, like in today's era.
Yeah, interesting. There's another attendee question, which is a good one, I think, from a mindset. Do you ever walk away from a new prospect, and why?
We walk away from new prospects. We walk away from existing clients. It's a two-way street. It's a relationship. We need buy-in on the other side. We need them to understand the perspective from our expertise is where we're coming from. And sometimes it's just not always the right fit, or budget might not suit where we are from a business perspective, but we have partners we'll refer it out to. So it's a loaded question, but like I said, it's definitely, yes, there's leads and opportunities we'll walk away from. There's clients we'll have to part ways from. There's all types of ways. It's a two-way street. It's a relationship. It's business.
So in looking at your business, and we're all, since we're in the pandemic, it's this unreal time, but we're going to get through it. And how do you see your business and the South Florida economy moving in the next 5 years?
It's going to be interesting. I see our business, our partners, the clients we have, I see us all continuing to grow because we're pivoting, we're adjusting to the new normal and what's happening. The roadmap for South Florida and being so real estate heavy and just kind of dependent on travel and tourism. There's a lot of companies that have to pivot. If I owned a cruise line, I would be doing more travel and vacation business. You still have the cruise ships that could be ported places where people could actually be vacationing and staying on those ships. Of course, that would be debatable as to how that happens, but there's a lot of ways for South Florida to get out of this. There's a lot of ways for, like I said, even the cruise lines to port a ship somewhere and still have travel excursions and vacation sales. I wouldn't be sending out an email every week that says book your quote unquote cruise today. It's just like people don't want to hear about it because the media took them through a bloodbath. But we also have a brand called digitalpr.com. Digital public relations is huge. Like telling your story from a media perspective. The gates to media, and I know you're in the media business, but they've never been lower for organizations to essentially start to beat their own drum. Of course, it's effective to have partners like Sun Sentinel, the Herald, South Florida, Business and Wealth, and Lifestyle Magazine, and other entities to help propel your message. But as a business owner with access to the press wires and press release capabilities, you can tell your own story very effectively, and you can pivot your business. Like I said, the South Florida economy, I truly believe we can make it out and be effective. A lot of people want to be down here. There's a lot of great minds moving here from all over the country. And I think that's going to lead to a lot of opportunity. And we have the infrastructure to do it. And we need the educational institutions to do their share and retrain and re-educate, industries that might be most impacted. Because between us, I don't know that, a hotel or a restaurant's going to be exactly the same in a few years now, and that all those jobs are going to be recreated overnight. But there's still ways for people to want a vacation. There's still I want to get out of my house sometimes. Like everybody wants an excuse to travel right now and enjoy the things that we are all used to. And we will get back to normal, but we need all the partners in the community to work together from a training perspective, a pivoting perspective, and being flexible on business models of yesteryear to adapt. And maybe your new business model becomes 70% and your traditional business model becomes 30%, but then immediately reverts once everything gets back to normal, because it will. It's just, the longer this goes on, it's going to be a prolonged cycle till that happens.
Yeah. Another question came up. This person saw you on a TV the other day. On a commercial. He wanted to know how that's performing for you.
So it's performing well. Of course, what the hook is, we get people to Exults. From Exults, we remarket to them. We remarket to them on Facebook, Instagram, and Google. So they get to our website, and then they start to see us everywhere. I'll be admittingly, as like a business owner right now, it has been a little bit slower. It has been a little bit quiet. But as we all start to come out of this, people get more comfortable about, using their PPP dollars or disaster loan money to put it back into their business in the right ways. Exults wants to be top of mind. And we are investing heavily so that people see us on all forms of media. And that, when you do go to our website, that we trap you in that digital gap, like I said, which is the remarketing. You'll see us if you visit our website. You'll see us again, I guarantee it.
No, I've seen you follow me around. Damn it, Zach. So this is a great question. This is from an attendee. You help companies improve their business every day. What would you like to improve about your business?
We, can always execute more effectively on what we're doing, and what can we improve. I mean, we're the cobbler's shoes sometimes. It's like there's certain things that we want to be working better or be more effective, but we're, clients retaining us to make their website way awesome. And, our resources are focused on our clients. I've been fortunate to have employees for over a decade. So, with that, we have really skilled staff in operations, and, like I said, a lot of their work and resources all goes towards our clients. But what could we do to be better? Look, we can always execute better, more effectively. But I love the business we're in. I love the ability to learn from what other business owners are doing and apply that to our own business as well as other clients out there. I believe strongly that I am a marketer by trade, and it just doesn't stop at digital. That there's so many things, like I said, like artificial intelligence and that pivot into direct communication beyond just what somebody would consider search social, starts to go into direct mail, SMS, like you name it. It's an awesome, expansive world.
It is, and it's fun watching you grow and succeed. We only have a few minutes left. I think what I'm going to do is, Zach, if there's any final words you want to say, and then I'll pass it over to Clayton to end the meeting. But this has been wonderful, and and by the amount of questions, I think we had so many questions. People are very engaged, so I thank you. And everybody knows how to get a hold of Zach. Exults.com, and if you're unhappy with the person you're working with, or if you haven't jumped in yet, this is the guy to go to. So Zach, you want to say any final words?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for the opportunity to be on today, and appreciate the time and everybody's ears for just, listening to the story. Check us out on exults.com. I am a real person. You can reach me. Definitely will take phone calls. So, feel free to give us a shout and ask to speak to myself, and, we're available. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thanks. Great, terrific job. I appreciate it. Clayton, you want to say a couple of final words?
Yeah, absolutely. Zach, this has just been incredible, extremely informative. So thank you so much. This is the world that we live in. Whether people are embracing it or not, they've got to get on the bus. So I've got a whole list of takeaways here. So thank you for all that you do. Gary, great job as always. Everybody tuning in today, thank you again for following us, and hopefully you enjoyed this as much as we did. We are going to be putting this in an upcoming issue of South Florida Business and Wealth. So be on the lookout for that. In addition to our website, sfbwmag.com, on our social media channels, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and also in our newsletter, probably in the next week or two. So,
Clayton, when is the next virtual event we're doing?
the next one we're doing is next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, you want to talk about that at all, or?
We will be we'll be following up tomorrow with an invitation to everybody on here, and also to all of our key partners and strategic alliances.
Great.
With that being said, yeah, we're gonna end. Sorry, Gary, you want to say anything else before we wrap it up?
No, you know something, we're just talking over each other. Thank you everybody for attending today. Zack, again, pleasure. Clayton, great job. Hang in there. We're getting through this all together. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.